Most men don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they're forcing life to obey them. You've been told to hustle harder, manifest louder, visualize bigger, grind until it breaks. But look around. The men who chase the hardest often repel the fastest. The more desperate the energy, the weaker the results. Here's the uncomfortable question. What if everything you want moves away the moment you grip it too tightly? What if success isn't attracted by force, but by calm authority? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Read that again. You have power over your mind, not outside events. But modern culture flipped it. It told you to control outcomes, control people, control timing. That's like trying to command the ocean by shouting at the waves. And the harder you shout, the smaller you feel. Because tension is felt. In business, in dating, in money, in leadership, tension is felt. And tension is not power. Power is presence. Power is grounded. Power is unshaken. Relax, trust, flow, power. In this video, you'll learn 10 Stoic rules that quietly manifest everything you want, not through obsession, not through passivity, but through disciplined inner alignment. Detached desire, strategic non-action, emotional sovereignty, trust in timing. And here's the part most men miss. The rule you're tempted to skip might be the one that unlocks everything for you. So don't half-watch this. Don't multitask it. Stay with it. Let's begin with the first shift most men resist and need the most. Rule 1, detached desire. You say you want it, but the truth, you need it. And that need is leaking through your behavior. You check your phone too fast. You over-explain in meetings. You push the follow-up text. You obsess over numbers, replies, timelines, and you call it ambition. But here's the shift. Needing is not power. Needing is tension. The crowd belief says, if I want it badly enough, it will happen. Stoicism says the opposite. Epictetus wrote, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Detached desire doesn't mean you stop wanting success. It means your identity no longer depends on it. Psychologically, this changes your nervous system. When you need an outcome, your body enters subtle survival mode. Your tone tightens, your decisions rush, your presence contracts, and people feel that contraction. But when you want something and remain steady without it, your energy opens. You become unhurried, grounded, less reactive. That's magnetism. Think about dating. The man who texts, double texts, overanalyzes tone, he pushes. The man who lives his life, responds when appropriate, and remains calm whether she replies or not, he attracts. Same with money. The entrepreneur obsessed with immediate sales makes desperate decisions. The one focused on building value consistently, he compounds. So how do you practice detached desire? First, set the intention clearly. Know what you want. Second, remove identity from outcome. If it happens, good. If it doesn't, you remain whole. Third, slow your reactions. No instant replies. No emotional chasing. Pause before action. You are allowed to desire. You are not required to cling. This is the difference between pressure and presence. Relax. If this rule hit you, comment relax. Because manifestation begins the moment your nervous system does. And once you detach, something surprising happens. You become fully present. Rule 2, present moment magnetism. You're thinking about the future while standing in the present. And that's why you feel weak. You walk into conversations calculating outcomes. You sit in meetings imagining results. You're on dates projecting where it's going, and people feel it. The crowd belief says, think ahead, strategize, anticipate. But here's the truth. Projection kills presence. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When your mind lives 10 minutes ahead, your body leaves the room. Psychologically, that creates micro-anxiety. Your nervous system signals evaluation instead of engagement. Instead of listening, you're performing. Instead of responding, you're positioning. And performance energy is fragile. Presence energy is grounded. Think about the most powerful man you've met. He wasn't trying to win you over. He wasn't scanning for approval. He wasn't rushing silence. He was just there. That's magnetism. When you're fully present, three things happen. Your breathing slows. Your speech becomes deliberate. Your eye contact stabilizes. These signals communicate confidence more than any clever line ever could. In dating, the man who listens without rushing to impress feels rare. In business, the leader who pauses before responding commands weight. In negotiation, silence often wins more than words, because attention is power. Flow. So how do you build present moment magnetism? First, practice one-breath pauses before speaking. Let silence work for you. Second, focus on physical sensation. Feet on ground, shoulders relaxed. Ground the body, calm the mind. Third, replace outcome thoughts with one question. What is happening right now? You don't attract by projecting forward. You attract by stabilizing now. When you stop chasing the future starts leaning toward you. If you've been living in tomorrow instead of today, comment flow. Because the next rule is where most men panic, and that panic quietly blocks everything. Rule 3, accepted resistance. You try to eliminate discomfort, and that's why it controls you. The moment something feels hard, a slow month in business, silence after a text, uncertainty in a relationship, you tense up. You try to fix it, force it, override it, because the crowd belief says, if it's meant for you, it should feel smooth. That belief is dangerous. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Resistance is not a sign to panic. It's a sign you're growing. Psychologically, here's what happens. When you resist resistance, your nervous system escalates. Stress compounds. Decision quality drops. You move from strategic to reactive. But when you accept friction as part of expansion, your body stabilizes. Acceptance lowers cortisol. Stability increases clarity. Clarity improves action. That's why some men break under pressure and others sharpen. Power. Think about the gym. If every rep burned and you quit because it felt wrong, you'd never grow. Same in business. A slow quarter doesn't mean failure. It means refinement. Same in relationships. Silence doesn't mean rejection. It means space. Resistance isn't blocking your manifestation. Your reaction to resistance is. So how do you practice accepted resistance? First, when discomfort appears, name it. Uncertainty, delay, rejection. Labeling reduces emotional charge. Second, don't make immediate decisions inside emotional spikes. Wait 24 hours before big reactions. Third, ask one question. What is this teaching me? When you stop fighting friction, friction starts building you. The man who can stay steady inside discomfort becomes unshakable. If this resonates, comment power, because the next rule shifts where real authority comes from. And most men have been giving it away. Rule 4, inner authority. You keep looking outside for confirmation, and that's why you feel unstable. You check reactions before trusting your instinct. You measure your value by replies, views, numbers, approval. You adjust your tone depending on who's watching. The crowd belief says, feedback defines you. Stoicism says something very different. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Inner authority means your decisions are not dictated by applause or silence. Psychologically, when validation comes from outside, your nervous system becomes externally regulated. Your mood rises with praise, drops with criticism, shifts with silence. You become reactive. You overcorrect. You shrink or inflate depending on feedback. That's volatility. But when authority comes from within, something changes. You move slower. You speak cleaner. You don't oversell yourself because you're not negotiating your worth. Control. Think about business. The entrepreneur who pivots identity every time the market shifts looks unstable. The one who adjusts strategy without changing core direction builds trust. Think about dating. The man who morphs personality to match whoever he's with feels insecure. The man who remains consistent, calm, unapologetic feels grounded. Inner authority doesn't mean arrogance. It means internal decision-making. So how do you build it? First, make small decisions without asking for input. Choose the restaurant. Choose the plan. Own it. Second, reduce unnecessary explanations. You don't need to justify every boundary. Third, develop one daily practice where results are private. Training, reading, meditation, something no one sees. Private strength builds public presence. When you stop seeking permission to be yourself, you become magnetic. If you've been outsourcing your confidence, comment control, because the next rule feels counterintuitive in a world addicted to action. And it might be the one that saves you from burnout.
Rule 5, strategic non-action.
You've been trained to believe that constant movement equals progress. So you respond immediately, decide immediately, fix immediately, chase immediately, because hustle culture whispers, if you're not acting, you're falling behind. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the damage in your life didn't come from inaction. It came from impulsive action. Seneca warned, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." People quote that as a reason to rush, but read it carefully. He's not advocating panic. He's warning against unconscious living. Strategic non-action is not laziness. It's disciplined restraint. Psychologically, when you act from urgency, your nervous system enters fight or flight. Your brain prioritizes short-term relief over long-term alignment. You send the emotional text. You accept the misaligned deal. You overcommit to prove yourself. And then you pay for it. Strategic non-action activates executive control. It shifts you from reaction to evaluation, from impulse to authority. Pause. Think about negotiation. The first man to speak after a proposal usually loses leverage. Silence creates psychological pressure. Think about dating. The man who doesn't rush to define everything creates polarity. The one who forces clarity too soon collapses tension. Think about business. Not every opportunity is aligned. The power move is sometimes walking away. So how do you practice strategic non-action? First, build a 24-hour rule for emotional decisions. If it spikes your adrenaline, wait. Second, let others reveal themselves. Don't fill every silence. Observe. Third, ask yourself, if I did nothing right now, what would naturally unfold? Often life resolves what ego tries to control. Non-action isn't weakness, it's patience under pressure. And patience is rare. If you've been exhausting yourself trying to control everything, comment, pause. Because the next rule transforms how you relate to what you already have. And most men underestimate its power completely.
Rule 6,
gratitude as a manifesting force. You think gratitude is soft, something you say at Thanksgiving, something influencers write in journals. Polite, decorative, not powerful. And that's why you stay restless. The crowd belief says, I'll be grateful when I get there, when the money hits, when the relationship stabilizes, when the body looks better. Gratitude becomes a reward. Stoicism flips that. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." Gratitude is not passive acceptance, it's nervous system regulation. Psychologically, when you constantly scan for what's missing, your brain strengthens scarcity pathways. You train yourself to notice lack in income, lack in status, lack in validation, and your body stays in tension. But when you consciously register what is working, you shift into sufficiency, and sufficiency feels stable. Stability is attractive. Relax. Think about business. The founder obsessed with what isn't happening feels desperate. The one who appreciates current clients builds deeper loyalty. Think about dating. The man always scanning for better options feels unsettled. The man who values what's in front of him radiates grounded presence. Gratitude lowers cortisol, increases dopamine, expands perception. It literally changes what you notice. You don't manifest from lack. You manifest from grounded appreciation. Trust. So how do you apply it without becoming complacent? First, every night list 3 specific wins. Not generic, specific. Closed a deal. Stayed calm. Trained when tired. Specificity trains perception. Second, express appreciation directly, to a friend, to a colleague, to your partner. Third, practice enjoying progress before perfection. Ambition and gratitude are not opposites, they're alignment. Flow. If you've been living in constant not enough, comment enough. Because the next rule shifts from what you have to who controls your emotional state. And that changes everything. If you're a man learning to build calm without losing your edge, to slow down without becoming passive, to grow without burning out, you're in the right place. This channel is for men who rise through discipline, not noise, through clarity, not chaos. If that's you, subscribe to Psychology of Stoics, and let's continue. Calmly. Rule 7. Emotional sovereignty. You say you want success, but your emotions are still negotiable. One comment ruins your mood. One rejection shifts your confidence. One bad day makes you question everything. And then you wonder why consistency feels impossible. The crowd belief says, emotions are honest, follow them. Stoicism says something steadier. Emotions are signals, not commanders. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That line alone can change your life. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you allow external events to dictate your emotional state, your brain wires itself for volatility. Notification, dopamine spike. Criticism, cortisol spike. Silence, anxiety spike. You become stimulus-driven, programmable. Emotional sovereignty means your internal state is self-regulated. It doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you choose your response. Steady. Think about the gym. Some days you feel motivated, some days you don't. If you only trained when you felt inspired, you'd stay average. Think about dating. If you mirror every emotional shift from the other person, you lose polarity. Think about business. If market dips define your identity, you'll panic sell. Sovereignty is steadiness, calm under variation, composed under uncertainty. So how do you build it? First, label before reacting. Not, I am anxious, anxiety is present. That separation creates space. Space creates choice. Second, slow your physical response. Deep breath, relax shoulders, lower tone. The body leads the mind. Third, decide in advance who you are under pressure. Calm, deliberate, unmoved. Identity precedes reaction. You don't manifest from emotional chaos. You manifest from stability. If you've been letting the world control your mood, comment steady, because the next rule challenges something deeper. your definition of success itself.
Rule 8. The philosophy of enough.
You don't feel behind because you lack progress. You feel behind because your standard keeps moving. You hit one milestone and immediately compare it to someone else's 10. You earn more and instantly want more. You improve your body and still see flaws. And the quiet result? Chronic dissatisfaction. The crowd belief says, if you stop wanting more, you'll become complacent. But here's the deeper truth. Without a philosophy of enough, ambition turns into addiction. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That's not anti-wealth, it's anti-slavery. Psychologically, if your baseline is never enough, your nervous system never relaxes. You live in comparison mode. Your brain scans for deficiency, what's missing, who's ahead, what you lack. And that scarcity lens reshapes you. Your posture tightens, your tone sharpens, your decisions rush. You negotiate from need. But when you define enough, not as the end of ambition, but as a present baseline, you regain power. Enough. Enough means I am building, but I am not starving. I am growing, but I am not incomplete. I desire more, but I am not empty without it. Think about money. If your lifestyle expands every time income expands, you never feel stable. Think about dating. If no partner is ever good enough, you sabotage depth. Think about fitness. If you can't respect your current strength, you'll always train from self-criticism. Enough creates internal security. Security creates relaxed confidence. Relaxed confidence attracts opportunity. Flow. So how do you practice this? First, define your current enough in writing. Income level, lifestyle, physical condition, relationships. Be specific. Second, separate growth goals from self-worth. Your targets are projects. You are not the project. Third, catch comparison spirals early. When you feel the urge to measure, pause. You are allowed to expand, but you are not required to feel lacking. If this hits something deep, comment enough, because the next rule shifts from internal stability to external expression. And this is where many men quietly shrink.
Rule 9.
Authentic expression. You hold back more than you admit. You soften your opinions. You adjust your humor. You dilute your standards. Not because you're weak, but because you're afraid of friction. The crowd belief says, be agreeable, be smooth, don't disrupt. But here's the reality. Attraction doesn't come from perfection. It comes from clarity. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Authentic expression is alignment between inner truth and outer behavior. Psychologically, when you suppress what you think or feel, your nervous system detects incongruence. That creates microtension. Your tone tightens, your body language hesitates, your words feel rehearsed. People sense it. They may not consciously know why, but they feel the lack of coherence. But when your expression matches your internal state, your energy stabilizes. There's no double processing, no internal debate. That's why authenticity feels powerful. Real. Think about dating. The man who says what he believes calmly, even if it's unpopular, feels grounded. The man who constantly adapts to be liked feels negotiable. Think about business. Leaders who speak clearly about values attract loyalty. Those who avoid discomfort create confusion. Authenticity isn't emotional dumping. It's disciplined honesty. Not louder, not harsher, clearer. So how do you practice it? First, stop over-explaining boundaries. That doesn't work for me. Full stop. Second, share opinions without apology. Calm tone, direct eye contact, no aggression. Third, notice where you shrink. In meetings, in relationships, online. That tension you feel before speaking, that's the edge of growth. You don't manifest by becoming who others expect. You manifest by aligning who you are. Because congruence creates trust. Trust creates influence. Influence creates opportunity. Flow. If you've been filtering yourself too much, comment real. Because the final rule ties all of this together, and it's the one that separates force from faith. Rule 10. Trust in divine timing. You want it now. Not next year, not eventually, now. And that urgency feels productive. But most of the time, it's fear. Fear that you're behind. Fear that you're running out of time. Fear that if it doesn't happen soon, it won't happen at all. The crowd belief says, if it hasn't happened yet, you're failing. Stoicism offers something steadier. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by and another takes its place." You are not fighting a deadline. You are moving within a current. Psychologically, impatience signals threat. When you feel behind, your nervous system speeds up. You overwork, you overpush, you compromise standards just to feel movement. But rushed growth collapses. Timing matters. In business, scaling before structure creates chaos. In relationships, forcing commitment before depth creates instability. In fitness, pushing intensity without recovery causes injury. Growth that lasts follows rhythm, flow. Trust in timing is not passive waiting. It is disciplined effort without panic. It is doing your work daily without obsessing over the clock. Relax. Here's how you practice it. First, focus on process metrics, not outcome metrics. Hours trained, skills improved, habits completed. Second, stop comparing your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. Third, when impatience spikes, ask, am I building or am I forcing? There's a difference. Trust does not mean fantasy. It means understanding that mature results require seasons. Seeds don't grow because you stare at them. They grow because you water them consistently. Calm men move through time differently. Not rushed, not desperate, aligned. Trust. If this rule is the one you needed most, comment trust. Because when you stop fighting the timeline, you start aligning with it. You've probably noticed something. None of these rules told you to stop wanting success. None of them told you to lower ambition. They told you to stabilize first. Detached desire, presence, accepted resistance, inner authority, strategic restraint, gratitude, emotional sovereignty, enough, authenticity, trust, different principles, one foundation, calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's the thread running through all 10 rules. You don't manifest by chasing harder. You manifest by becoming internally unshakable. When your nervous system is calm, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, your trajectory changes. When your trajectory changes, results compound. Not because the universe favors you, but because you stop sabotaging yourself with tension. Hustle culture says push. Toxic manifestation culture says visualize and wait. Stoicism says build inner order, then act, then release, then repeat. Relax, trust, flow, power. You are not behind, you are building. And if you're a man choosing discipline over drama, clarity over chaos, calm strength over loud ambition, you belong here. Like this video, if it helped you steady your mind, share it with a brother who's forcing too hard, and subscribe to Psychology of Stoics, a space for men rising quietly. We'll continue building, calmly,